Well, hello and welcome. Good evening to you if you're joining us live from Europe or the UK. My name is Jenny McCormac. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the market town of Brackley, which is in Northamptonshire, and that's here in the UK. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is Thursday evening, the 26th of June. And I showed you how I made this card in our live session on Monday morning, and we had coffee and card on Tuesday, and the ladies and Scott made some fantastic cards. If you are on my and following on my Facebook page, and even if you're not on Facebook, you can see it from there. Hi Carol. They did some amazing cards. Really, yeah, they all just blew me away. This was the card that I made at Coffee and Card, just to show the butterfly added in. And we've stamped these on the textured notes dies. I thought I would step it up this evening using the dies. Now the dies match the stamp set, so you can utilise both of them. I thought, just to show you how the dies differ, let me put these up here, maybe just in view, hopefully. So I've pre-cut some of these just to save a little bit of time. So the stamp set is called Coneflower Celebrations, this one here. The actual stamps are bigger than you see on the front case. This is shot at 80%, and because obviously in the main stamp case we don't have the top and the bottom here, so that is the actual size. And I've got this sentiment that I used yesterday for my ablated card with my little sausage dog on it. So I thought I would introduce the dies. So there are quite a few dies in the set. We have this one here, which actually would make a great butterfly. And if you haven't seen the sample that Scott did, now Scott is a team member and he also comes to our Coffee and Cards in Brackley, and he had the idea of stamping the flower twice effectively with an overlap like that. There's a bit more like a beetle on the screen here, but with the stamp it was really effective. So we stamped the whole thing on one and then just this piece on the other side, and added some antenna with a marker pen. It was really effective. So if you can, do have a look at that on my Facebook page. So we have this one here which will fold. This one here, so it's got a fold line in the middle, so you can have this effectively loose like that. The other thing you can do if you want is to cut this and put a layer behind. Now I've cut a few of these so that I can have a play with that. So you can have it at a slightly different angle. Let's just try it, because I can always pretend it's stuck back together again, can't I? So what I would do is turn one over so that it's different. Let me do it on here, that would be a bit easier for you to see. Okay, so that's the fold as is. It's a mirror image, but you could add this layer, so that is the same, but you could also turn it round to get a slightly different look. Okay, so you've got layers going on, and you could obviously cut those and have multiple layers. But we also have this lovely image here that sits on the top of that layer and gives you the main flower behind with the layers on top, which I think is really effective. So I cut these out of Berry Burst and Pretty in Pink because I thought that's quite a nice combination. So I could do it that way round, and I could do it the other way round. So this is the die and that is the Pretty in Pink base. Then we also have this die which does some embossing. If I do this one, you might be able to see the embossed details. It's tiny little cuts in here, and this will then go on the top. So it's basically the same as this. So you can stamp that and cut that element out if you want to, or you can just use the dies on their own. So this is a set that actually the dies on their own, with two exceptions. No, with one exception. It cuts out this butterfly. So obviously the die for the butterfly without the stamp is actually, it doesn't do a lot of good, but it does have some leaves that match these, and it also has some dies that cut out just the leaves on their own, the outside of the leaves. It has a silhouette. We also have a stalk, which I've used here in Granny Apple Green, and then the leaves as I've mentioned. And this is the die with all the little detail on it. Apologies for my grubby looking hands. So let's give this a go and put this together. I've chosen a piece of this lovely Country Woods paper for my background. What I'm going to do is I will trim that down. I'll probably, out of this lot, make 2 cards. I might as well. So I'm going to trim this down, and then I may put that on either a green layer, Granny Apple to match the leaves, or Berry Burst to match the deeper of the pinks, and then that's going to go onto a white card. So let's put these together first, and then we'll do some designing. So you can stamp the image onto here, or you could use a blending brush and add a little bit of detail. You could use a sponge. You could also use blends pens, for example. So this is the wrong colour. This is like Granny Apple Green, just the same as this. So let's just grab a small piece of grid paper. It's been a beautiful day here again. I don't know what weather you've had today, Carol. So if you want this to look a little bit more interesting, not just pale, not just plain, you can do a little bit of shading. As I say, you could use a blending brush. You could stamp the image on there from the stamp set, or you could just use a blends pen. You could use a Stamp-A-Rite marker as well, just to add a little bit of detail. Now this is the same colour. I've used light Granny Apple Green, so you're not going to see a huge difference. If I just lift that up, put the other one next to it, maybe you can see the difference. Maybe slightly. Maybe I will try a slightly darker colour. I've got dark old olive. This one. Right on here. I just used an offcut for this, which is why this is a little bit shorter. So just running this in from one side. I could do the same on the other side. You could draw a line down it if you wanted to. There you go, it's a little bit more obvious. Let's use that on here. So this is dark gold olive. Just makes the dies pop a little. I would use a blending brush. That would be my favoured choice, but a quick scout around my craft room when I came in, because I've been out all day, meant I couldn't see it. Oh good, Carol's had lovely weather. Right, so that's those two. I can do the same with some of the leaves. As I say, you can also stamp and die cut the leaves. So if you wanted this a little bit more interesting, you could do the whole leaf, you could do just part of the leaf. I quite like doing part. Like so. While I'm here, I'm just going to do these. So I haven't actually put any of these together. I literally got the die set out when I got home and just die cut a few pieces. So I'm sure there are some fabulous designs that have already been done. And if I get the opportunity to do a little bit of playing, I will. Maybe I'll do that one all the way over, like so. It's all out, yes, there's a tiny little bit in there. Okay, so I've got some very variegated leaves here. Hopefully that's in view. I have lowered my camera so you can see more detail. Okay, you can do the same with the centres. Let me just see if I've got pumpkin pie, which is what I've used here. Again, just adding a little bit of detail, like so. I don't know whether I'll use both of these, but let me shade that one in completely, like so. Okay, and we can do the same with the flowers. I wish I had my blending brush, but I don't. What if I've got something I could use? No, nothing to hand. I have no idea what I have done. There they are. Just found them. Have I? No, there's my water pens. They're in a similar pot. That's why. Okay, so we can do the same with our flowers, with our blends pen. So this is dark, pretty and pink. So I'm just going to run that along one side of my flower, like so. Just to give it a little bit of interest. If I put that next to the plain one, you'll see the difference. Well, hopefully you'll see the difference. Lift that up like so, and I've got light berry burst. It might be a little bit too light for this. And because I'm just covering an area, I'm using the brush tip. Now obviously you can use a bone folder or the edge of your pens to give this a little bit of interest. So I'll do it on this one. So you can curl them. So it's a bit like curling ribbon, if you've ever done that. Normally you do curling ribbon with a relatively sharp, not necessarily a blade, but you tend to use a scissors or knife. But what you want to do is run your die cut between your thumb and a more solid implement. If I put this here and this one next to it, you'll see the difference. Hopefully this throws a bit more of a shadow. Let me lift it up. Maybe that's a little bit better for you to see. So I do recommend, if you have time, to do that. Now just be careful you don't break the petals. So be sensible. And you could just layer some of these together. You don't have to use this base. So if you wanted to, you could just layer those together like that. Just have them slightly offset. Okay, let's do this one while I'm at it. And maybe on this one I'll just do the tips like so. So plenty of variation with this. This would look lovely, I also think, in white with a little bit of blending on it, like so. Okay. Oh, my phone's died. Right, so let's put these together and see what we have. So I'm going to do one like that. So I'm going to add my glue to here, and then just a little bit along these stalks. Not all the way down, because I want them to sit a little bit high. Like so. Just holding that for a minute. And what I should do is add a little bit of shading around this piece as well. Okay, just holding that for a little bit. Like so. Now you could put a hidden message in there if you wanted to. And then let's put a flower head on. So I've got the early espresso one's going to sit on there. Don't add too much ink to the flower head because it will seep through these holes if you're not careful. So I'm just going to run a little bit of that off first. Position that on there, hold it. Ideally, if you can give it 10 seconds before you place it down, just to allow the glue to start to go tacky, like so. So there's one. Okay, and then let's do the reverse of that. That, and a little bit along here. You don't have to use this backing piece. As I say, you can just use these detailed pieces on their own. And just to show you what it looks like, you can add this to your stamped image. Obviously you're going to lose a lot of the detail, but you can add that on top of your stamped image. Let's maybe put these two together. And I'm going to turn that one round. Am I just going to offset it maybe? Yeah, I'm going to offset it and trim that little section out. Which way round? That's the question. I think I prefer that, the darker one on top. So, put a little bit of glue on here. And then there we go. So I've just lifted it up. If you look on the back, it's not even, doesn't need to be even, it's just as well, isn't it? So lots of variation. So this is Pretty in Pink with the Berry Burst on top with the espresso layer. This one I'm going to add my pumpkin pie layer on top, and that had a little bit extra colouring in as well. Yeah, I can just see that glue seep through a little bit, even with the small amount that I put on. And it doesn't help that I've actually chosen the back, not the front. Never mind. Let's give that a minute to hold. There we go. Okay, so, and this was the piece that I cut off the other one, so that could actually go under there and have 3 layers to that one. Let's do that. Might pop that on with dimensionals. I must remember to order some more glue. I have plenty of dimensionals, but I think I've run out of Tombow glue. Okay. I'm going to put 3 on here if they'll fit, just to give it a nice amount of support. Okay, and that's going to go on here. Good. Again, lift it off a little bit. So that it's offset. Hopefully you can see that underneath. And I've got a little bit showing here, which I'm going to trim. Because that will show up. There we go. So you could do a little bit of curling of all of these layers. So say, just be careful, don't go mad. You don't want to tear them off. There we go. And I've got 2 left. What do we think? Orange and just a small amount. If you were worried about a large amount of glue coming through, then I would use a little bit of tape. Okay, just going to sit that on there for a minute. and then put them onto my backing paper and onto my cards. Okay, so I've got some leaves. I've just got a couple of stalks, so let's trim this piece down. This is going to measure 9.5 centimeters wide by 13.85, and the same for this one. So, and then I've got a couple of backing layers, so I'm going to see which looks better. So this is Mossy Meadow, that nice deep green. Stay. Okay, no, that's off the picture a little bit. This is the very best. What's it got on the back? Oh, darker. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. No, I think it needs the lighter one. Or the light green. No. Let's go for Berry Burst and Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to put these layers down and then arrange my flowers on top. So just straightforward. Gosh, it's warm in here. I haven't got the windows open. Let's put a squiggle in the middle. Okay, make sure my card is opening the right way, not that it matters for this particular layer. That's that one. This is going to go on top. Same with the other one. And then I will arrange my flowers. I don't know whether I'll get two on one of them or not. What I'm going to do is leave that for the minute, put this layer on, in case I have a flower hanging over the edge, in which case I can trim it off the end before it hits the card. Okay, so this is the one with my 3 full layers. Doesn't really matter which way this stalk goes. And then I've got some leaves. Not sure which way round they're supposed to go. So there would be one. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then let me see if I could get 2 heads onto here. I might stick that down. I can stick it down or cut it off. You could put a secret message behind there. I'm just going to stick it down for speed. Looks a bit busy, doesn't it? If I have just a little bit, then I could put a sentiment in there. And then I could do a little stalk. I don't need a stalk on that side. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put this one on dimensionals and this one flat, so that will help me cut the edge off. So 4 on there. That. Let's glue that down. I think I put this a little bit lower than I had before. My little leaf. That will work. So you could cut these out with some self-adhesive, double-sided self-adhesive on the back. And I know I've got a small margin around the edge of here to the card. Oh, not quite enough pressure. And obviously you could stamp your background. You could add detail to your background, like some netting or fencing. Maybe I'll just have that going off like that. Basically you can play around with the layers. And using something else to hold it down so it doesn't transfer glue to your fingers. And then you transfer glue everywhere else. So if anybody's joined us since the start, a warm welcome to you. So just going to turn that over and trim that bit of stalk off, and this leaf. And I could use this other piece of stalk to sit on top of those pieces so that the leaf is hidden. What I would have done, if I thought about it in advance, is probably put the leaves underneath there. So what I'm going to do is just put this on top, and that will hide the join of those leaves, and it uses up that little piece. Like so, and I'll let it hang off the end, and then I can trim that down. Hopefully that's in your picture now. So you can't see the join of the leaves, they're sandwiched in there. Okay, and then this one is going to go flat, and I'm going to chop it off. Or am I? Could just put a bigger sentiment. What do you think, Carol? Let's put this one together in the meantime. I think what I'm going to do is line that up with the base. Like so. So just let me know, should I put 2 or 1? Loving the colours. Oh, good. Well, echinacea, which is what the coneflower is, I think they call it coneflower in America, but it is actually an echinacea plant. Put that right in the corner. There we go. So this is the triple one. So berry burst, and then pretty in pink, and then berry burst again, offset, and then pumpkin pie on the top. I'm gonna pop that up with dimensionals just to give it a little bit more interest. That's true. I could make a third card. You're quite right. I could do a hybrid. So I could stamp the stalk and add the flower. Because it does look a bit busy with 2. Okay, so this is the one that's all sort of puffed up ready. So added that with dimensionals, and I forgot again for my leaves. Let's just see which way they're going to go. That is the right way, isn't it? Yes. Okay. So small amount of glue, just on the large areas. You don't have to cover the whole thing. It's going to stay fairly flat anyway. Hopefully that's still inside. Yes, it is. So I do like the sentiments that come with this, but obviously you could add your own sentiments to it. But in the set you get "It's your day," "You made my day," "Thank you," "Celebrating you," "Happy belated birthday," "I'm sorry I missed your special day, let's extend the celebration," and then "I love that I've known you for so many birthdays." Great way of saying we go back a long way, or something similar. Okay, so there's this one with the layers on top. Hopefully you can see that. It's a little bit difficult on the screen. And then this one, which you're going to pop on a card. I might cut the card the other way, but it will do for our purposes. And then I've got this one. So what I'll do with this is I'll stamp the stalk. And there is a die cut for that butterfly. Let's grab another piece of that nice paper, or a similar piece. So this is the Country Woods paper. It's part of a suite, which means that at the minute you can buy one and get one half price, any part of the suite. That runs till the 30th of June. Now, is that going to be long? Yes, it is. Excellent. I'm going to do this one this way round. So maybe I'll do this. No, I'll do this 9.5 as well. by 13.85. Obviously you can choose the element part of that you want. So what I'm going to do is grab that stamp and ink that in espresso. Let me grab a block. So this is a hybrid in the true sense of the word. So let's have this, I'll do it this way. Could have done it a little bit further up, couldn't I? Never mind. So we'll be fine. Okay, just going to shut that for a minute. Just going to colour that in with a little bit of green. I've got light granny apple green, which will absolutely suffice for our purposes. There we go. Like that. And I can see that I've got a little bit of the petal pink showing behind, so I'm going to grab that pumpkin pie blends pen and just run that all the way around this edge. So I've got no petal pink showing. Go. Might just do that. This was the one that I stuck down with the back, not the front. There we go. Just give it a little bit more shading for interest. And I'm going to stamp the leaves as well while I'm here. So there are 2 leaves exactly as per the dies. And I could stamp the butterfly and attach it to that, which I might well do. Let's just grab a block, do these leaves. Got one down there, and let's have the other one just coming up from the bottom. Look at that. You didn't see that. I'll leave that because I'm going to use that for my sentiments. Let's add that granny apple green. That's not that, I can tell you. It's lemon lime twist. That is granny apple green. This is the dark one. Like so. Okay. So this is going to go on here, like so, And I'm just going to put a sentiment down here. So we've got It's Your Day. That would be a good choice. I'm hoping it will fit. I'd like it to go there. Let's move that one out of the way. I'm just using espresso for speed. You could obviously pick up the Berry Burst. I think I do have Berry Burst ink here somewhere. And over ink that a little bit. But I think we'll be okay. There we are. It's Your Day. Like so. Add some Wink of Stella, if you wish, for some detail and a bit of sparkle. Just going to put 3 on there. And this whole piece there is going to go onto a backing. Just positioning that right on the end of the stalk, because I did it a little bit too far down. So there's that one. Let's add sentiment to this in there. I think I'm going to use the same. It's Your Day. Although I did say I put the butterfly on, didn't I? There we go. There's that one. That's going to go onto a card base like that. And then this one here. Just use the same sentiment, just for speed. There we are, sort of all connected. So there we go. 3 cards. Yes, 3 cards. Have to think about that. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to pop that onto a layer, maybe Berry Burst, maybe espresso, just for something different. Like that. And then onto a card base. Add a little bling and we're all done. So I hope you like those. So this features, I will stick these down in a second. So this features the Coneflower Celebration dies. I have used the stamps here for this one. These are the dies only. This is the stamps only. So if you like the look of the combination, then you can buy the stamps and the dies at a bundle price with 10% off. Or you can buy the stamps on their own or the dies on their own. So there's a lot of flowers on my screen. I hope you like them. These ones on the left are the ones that we're doing along with variations at our Coffee and Cards tomorrow in Brackley and Monday in Toaster. So I do hope you'll join me for any of those if you're local. And if not, I shall be back on Monday morning for our latest and newest stamp set of the week. Thank you so much. Remember, if you do order the stamp set of the week with me, the week that I feature it, in other words, any time up to and including Sunday of this week, that will be the, let me see, 29th of June, then I send you the component parts. So I'll send you the parts for the flowers. Obviously I won't do any stamping, but you will have the papers, the cardstock and the envelopes. And that's just wonky on my screen, which is really going to annoy me. So I'm just going to do that. Not that I need to, because I can just move it from my photograph. But there we go, a little bit more straight. Thank you so much. Thanks, Carol. Do look after yourself. I hope you're still doing Coffee and Card, and I look forward to catching up with you at some point soon. Take care everyone, and bye for now.